Welcome to the Unstoppable Profit Podcast. This podcast will give independent insurance agents all of the tools to grow your business and live life on your terms. Wherever you are today, if you're starting with nothing or well on your way to the success you desire, with the right people, processes, and promotions in place, you will be unstoppable. And now I'd like to introduce your host, Mike Stromsoe.
Greetings, everybody. Welcome to the next episode of the Unstoppable Profit Podcast. And today we are diving into part 3, the final part of Excellence Wins. I have my episode partner and teammate, Mr. Joel McKinley on. Hey, Joel, how's it going?
Hey, Mike, I am ready to dive in. Let's go.
This has been awesome, incredible. It's been a phenomenal study, all because of personal experiences that we've had out there in the world. And before we started this morning, we were talking about simply excellence in world-class organizations out there. Success leaves clues, right?
It does.
Yeah. And so you were building off of another company that we've studied as well, the Disney company, who, just creates that client experience like no other.
I mean, it's all about return business.
Mean retention?
Get clients, keep clients.
Right. Growth, wealth, and freedom. And that retention is the wealth component of the insurance agency business. So, let's get clear on this, folks. It's not rocket science. It's about return customers, repeat business. You've got to earn the right to continue to serve them. You cannot assume that they're just going to renew. You've got to give them a reason.
Why should people do business with you? Over and above any and all other options available to them, because they have choices. They don't need you. Why should they choose you?
That's a big amen. So 100%. So we got, we talked about the 10,000 hour rule as well in our team circles. The fact that mastery of anything, it's been said, according to Malcolm Gladwell and many others, takes about 10,000 hours. So back to those daily habits. We're going to dive in as we cover the 20 basics of Ritz Carlton, which create the excellence within that organization. We're going to go through the basics 11 through 20 today in the wrap up of our series. But the 10,000 hour rule, to gain mastery of anything, it takes about 10,000 hours. And if there's 2,080 working hours in a year, multiply that out. That's between 4 and 5 years, right?
Right.
And so, but here's the key. Mastery requires constant and consistent remastery. So we've got to continue to remaster. And that's what, in the study of Ritz Carlton, Disney, and other world-class companies, it's constant habit, training, and everything else. And that was what you did as well for 20 years.
Hey, Mike, did you know that practice doesn't make perfect?
Yes, I heard that. Tell me more.
Perfect practice makes perfect. You can't just practice it anyway, or you're going to learn it. Those 10,000 hours could be invested in doing something the wrong way.
Aha. That's a great point. Thank you so much. Awesome. Hey, before we get started on basics 11 through 20, anything else?
No, I'm ready to go.
Yeah, me too. All right. So we've covered basics 1 through 10 in the last episode, part 2 of Excellence Wins. So if you need to go back and rinse and repeat that, or revisit it, or visit it for the first time, please do so. And then come back and visit basics 11 through 20. And again, a quick recap. These are the 20 basics developed by the Ritz Carlton companies. And I personally experienced this and observed it to be true. Yes, I remember the name of Guy, who checked us in, the learning coach. Yes, I remember the name of Michael, the bellman, who brought our stuff to the car when we left. Steve, the valet, Sarah, and Josh, the team who served us on our anniversary dinner, and everything else. I remember their names. And Tedhus, the general manager. We were trading books that we're reading. I remember all those things, even though it was weeks ago now. Why? because it was a phenomenal, incredible experience. And that's what we want all of you to install and create within your agency businesses. And they can do it, right?
Oh, of course they can.
What's holding them back?
Well, lack of consistency, I would imagine.
Well, that's one of the number one reasons people don't reach their goals or exceed their goals. I agree. But does it have anything to do with their mindset?
Well, that's where your skill set is.
Okay. Yeah. So and the daily habits, right?
Right.
Consistency. All right. Let's dive in. So basic number 11, uncompromising. And I love that word. Uncompromising levels of, they said, cleanliness are the responsibility of every employee. Now, I converted that to the insurance agency business, but uncompromising, not to sway from the level of excellence, right?
It means no excuses.
No excuses. I love that. No excuses. Uncompromising levels of efficiency and client care and everything else. And the hotel business, cleanliness, I get it. The insurance agency business, well, could be cleanliness of files, could be cleanliness of our computer systems, could be cleanliness of whatever it is, right?
Right.
Convert it to your own business. That's the entrepreneurial, forward-thinking way of doing things. And we get to better, beyond better every single day. Right. Any other thoughts on 11, Joel?
No, I mean, but ultimately, Mike, the no excuses part of it, of that excellence, comes from training. And you have to be training your team. You can't just train them once and expect them to know it forever, which is why the Ritz Carlton Company reviews these 20 at least once a month. And it's rotational. It's constant.
Yeah. And I've got a piece that we'll wrap up with today. I believe 12 times a year and second nature will be key components of that. So stay tuned. All right. Let's move on to number 12. The 12th of the 20 basics that make Ritz Carlton a world-class organization where the high-achieving, successful, and wealthy hang out. I hope you all got that. All right. Number 12, to provide the finest personal service and care for our guests. Each employee or team member is responsible for identifying and recording individual guest preferences. Right? So,
right.
You know, that could be in the insurance agency business, the way somebody likes to be communicated with.
Absolutely.
You know, and we were talking about that. Is it always automation?
I mean, I would imagine, Mike, if you look back at any of your experiences that you deal with, because you've taught me, study your mail, study your inbox, study how companies communicate with you, see what resonates with you and what doesn't. And in my experience in dealing with agents in and outside of UPP, everyone wants to automate everything. But when you automate everything, do you still get that genuine experience, or is it just, all right, next in line?
Right.
Right. And it may not be right for every agency. And that's why we talk about segmenting your clients. Do you really want to automate your AAA top 20% of your revenue coming into your agency? Do you want to treat them like next in line, please?
Deep, significant, meaningful relationships. We had a quick hits in the trenches inside of our UPP circles on that just the other day.
Right.
No one cares how much you know until they know you care. And another email doesn't mean you care. Unless they say to you, I want you to send me an email for every situation, unless. So you have to have that depth of conversation. And so it's back to the awareness, right?
Right.
All key to keeping clients. Keeping clients is probably at the very top of your list. A lot of people in the insurance agency business, no, new business. I get that. And yes, we need to earn new business opportunities to replace what we lose to keep even. I get it. But cannot lose focus on keeping business. Still vitally important. Number 13, never lose a client or a guest. Instant guest pacification is the responsibility of each team member. Whoever received a complaint will own it, resolve it to the guest satisfaction, and record it. Any thoughts and comments on that?
I mean, it's just like the book that we really dived into last year was the Florence Prescription, creating that culture of ownership and of accountability. It does not matter what your role is. You take care of your clients, you take care of your clients, you take care of your clients. And the fact that they record it is a great opportunity to assess how can we make this process better in the future to where we don't have this issue.
And that's what they do in their daily huddles, right?
Right.
I mean, when they get together every day to review the basic of the day, they talk about what they record. I remember when, my wife and I were enjoying our dinner, which was so absolutely incredible. And why was it incredible? Because of the chef and what he did, or he or she did? Well, maybe the food was extremely good. But what I remember was Sarah and Josh. I slid Josh some cash because he took that picture, which will live in our memories for a long, long time. And the way he did it and his attitude. And then Sarah said, hey, by the way, you're going to receive a communication. And if you want to give us some feedback about your experience, we share it during our team huddles, and we'll share it, when we receive it. I said, that's awesome. I said, what's the communication like in those huddles? She said, it's normally really good, but sometimes we need to get better. And without your feedback, we can't get better. She said that like, it was second nature, ongoing communication. That was absolutely awesome. So never lose a client or a guest. Own it. 100% agree.
Hey, Mike, did you hear what you said in there? You said, share your experience. They invite you to tell your story, not to leave them a review. They made it about you, not about them.
Right.
It's a great communication tip for when you're trying to get the Google reviews for yourself and your agency. Don't ask for the review for you. Ask your client to share their story, how interacting with you made them feel.
Aha. Do you mind if I borrow that?
I mean, I borrowed it from you.
That is awesome. Yeah, absolutely. Share your story. And we all need to get better all the time. I mean, I had a situation last week, to tell you the truth, where I could have done a better job because I had a client that wanted to share a few comments about their experience in our private one-on-one platinum coaching session. But I could have been better prepared with asking the questions. It is what it is. We all need to get better every single day. So on we go, continue to learn. Great feedback. Thank you. Thank you very much. Number 14, smile. We are always on stage. Always maintain positive eye contact. Most importantly, when you're face to face, but on this thing called Zoom as well. I was on with one of our platinum coaching members recently, and that platinum member commented, hey, did you get a new camera? I said, yes, I did. The unstoppable Andrea Wyatt hooked me up with a new camera, and they said, I love it. I feel like I'm making better eye contact with you. And now I've learned, I'm looking at this green line on the bottom of the camera, which is my best place to have perfect eye contact. So smile. We're always on stage, always maintain positive eye contact. Use the proper vocabulary. So be clear about your vocabulary and what that looks like, and practice it. Use words like good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Certainly. People want stability and certainty. Certainly, I'll be happy to take care of that for you. I'll be happy to. My pleasure. Any other thoughts on that, Joel McKinley?
No, I mean, that's exactly what it is, Mike, is when you are taught, hey, you're on stage. Oh, I need to put on this performance. Whether I'm over here, emptying trash cans or not, I'm emptying trash cans on stage. I still need to be aware of my environment, be aware of the things where I have them, etc. I mean, it's wow. I mean, I'm fascinated. I want to go and just walk around the Ritz Carlton today.
Well, they have some not too far from you, FYI.
It's on my bucket list, Mike.
You've heard of GTS?
Google Shiitake.
GTS it. Good. It'll be a phenomenal outing for you, field trip, if you will. So, but the bottom line is, I learned this years ago, and actually my first study of it was Verizon. Because I mean, they are a phone provider, and I read a document, studied a document, got to know it quite well. It's called Verizon Smile. And so that's when we created mirrors for everybody in our office, and everybody had a mirror like right behind their phone. And our encouragement for them consistently was look in the mirror when you're on the phone, because people can feel your smile through the phone as well. So vitally important. They can feel it. They're human beings. Human beings. So great stuff. On to number 15. Be an ambassador for your hotel, or in this case, insurance agency. Be an ambassador for your company inside while you're there and outside of the workplace. Always talk positively. Communicate any concerns to the appropriate person. In other words, if you don't have anything good to say, well, don't say it. Communicate it to the right person to get it ironed out. And I will suggest the best place that they recommend to communicate that is where?
Inside of their meetings.
Inside of their daily huddles.
Right.
100%. That's where they get stuff ironed out. Because here's the clarity of it. It's not always going to be perfect. Nothing in life is perfect. There's going to be times and there's going to be times. But it's how we not react. I learned this recently. I don't know if I told you about this. I learned this recently. It's not how we react, it's how we respond. It's a different mindset. How we respond to things. And it's back to training. Training sets us up to respond in the right way. Be an ambassador of your company inside and outside. Always talk positively. Any other thoughts?
Yeah, Mike. I mean, this one, it just jumped off the page. This is something that I learned in my military career is when I was stationed overseas, you represent your entire country as an American and people know who you are. When I was in uniform and I would go home, I represented the military, I represented the country. I always needed to display that professional, wow, this is what it means to represent that. So, and it's the exact same when you're wearing your agency shirt, it's got your logo, but spread that to your team as well. You're representing them all the time. When I wear this shirt, I know people are going to tune into the podcast because they're going to get great information. I know they need to see me in public and go, I can't wait to listen to that podcast.
Fantastic. And by the way, thank you. Thank you for your service to our country. Thank you for defending my freedom and the freedom of everybody in our awesome country. So thank you.
It's always a privilege.
Awesome. Let's move on to number 16.
Yep.
Escort guests rather than pointing out directions to another area of the hotel. You and I were talking about this before we started this morning.
Right.
Go ahead.
Well, so at Disneyland, they don't point with one finger when they don't call them, employees. They call them
cast members. Yeah.
They call them cast members. And Walt Disney had a thing where he would never point with one finger. It was always with two. And there's actually a statue of him standing with Mickey, pointing with two fingers because pointing with one finger was disrespectful. Escorting guests means that regardless of whatever you have doing professionally for you, you are willing to stop what you're doing to take them there because the guest is the reason you're there.
Yeah. I was trying to think of an example of this in my early morning adventures before dawn this morning, getting ready for this podcast. And here's an example for everybody they can immediately implement in their insurance agency business. And I did this a lot. in my career. So when somebody has a claim, right, that's when they need you the most. And, you know, agents so often have the habit of, I'm just going to push you off in the claims department. Call so-and-so at the claims department. Here's their phone number and extension. They'll take care of you. They call, get voicemail. They don't get taken care of. That person falls down on the job, whatever. And how do they feel? Well, they feel like crap and they get pissed off. Bottom line. So I identified this and I said, you know what? Because of technology, let me go ahead and get the adjuster on the phone. And if we can't get through the adjuster, I'm going to get a supervisor on the phone and we're going to get this taken care of right now. And I remember again and again and again, they said, that's awesome. Thank you. So we got them on the phone live. We had a three-way, you know, three-party, four-party phone call, and we got it all ironed out right there on the spot. We didn't pass it off to somebody else or point them in a direction and say, deal with it yourself. We cared about them and helped them immediately. Wow. Great stuff. Fantastic. Number 17, use Ritz Carlton telephone etiquette. Insert your name of your insurance agency telephone etiquette. I hope you have documented telephone etiquette. Ours was in our handbook. We revisited it often to make sure that everybody was on the same page using the telephone etiquette. Answer within 3 rings and went back to that smile. Why a smile, not a frown? Come on. Just kidding. I know you all know. Use the guest's name when possible. It's their favorite thing to hear because it's theirs. Yep. When necessary, ask the caller, may I place you on hold? Not just hang on a minute with your grumpy tone, right?
Right. Do
not screen calls. Eliminate call transfers whenever possible, aka own the situation, and adhere to voicemail standards. Yes, voicemail is a tool. I know businesses that don't have voicemail because they don't believe in it. That's their choice. So etiquette, the way that you do things, the phone, an underused tool, right?
Right.
So any thoughts on this?
Automation. Everyone wants to go to that automation like we talked about. Excuse me, Mike, I was telling you earlier about the bank teller example in the book.
Yeah.
And, you know, Horst Schultz was brought in to evaluate the bank and how the experience was. And he said he waited in line. He went up and he asked for change for, I think it was a $50 bill. And he said, you know, answered 3 questions. Did they give him great service? Yes. Were they accurate? Yes, she gave him the accurate amount of money. But did he feel genuine care or concern from the bank teller? And the answer was no. It was next in line.
Next. Yeah.
Yep. And it just when you're answering the call with a smile, and you're taking great care of them and you're listening to what their problem is. I mean, that totally sets you apart from the competition.
Yeah. So for all the agencies out there, especially our platinum coaching members, wink, wink, what Horst was doing, he was meeting with a board of bank executives for a certain bank to consult with them on providing excellent service. So he got to the city that the bank was in, that he was meeting with the leaders with, meeting the leadership, and he had some time on his hands. So he thought he would go into the bank and experience the bank itself, and simply stood in line to change a $50 bill. And that's what he experienced. Poor care and the next mentality, no eye contact, no smile.
Right.
And he brought it to the leadership and said, this is what I just experienced. So Joel McKinley, I think that you and I should set out on a mission sometime in the near future to start calling member agencies and just see what we get.
I'll be writing that down so we can do that.
You're gonna ink it, not think it?
It's already getting inked.
Nice. Hey, just to give them feedback.
Right.
I mean, honestly, before our private one-on-one coaching days in UPP, I go to their website. I do some homework on what they put out there. And I find often that there's things that are getting missed. That's why we do what we do. That's why I'm so grateful for your, as the director of AFY Accountability for You, that you're helping our member agents stay on task for the things that are so vitally important to their future success consistently.
Right.
Great stuff. Let's get on to number 18. Take pride in and care of your personal appearance. Everyone is responsible for conveying a professional image by adhering to the Ritz Carlton clothing and grooming standards. This applies to any business, right?
Right.
And we were talking about before we started this morning about remote operations. Well, people think, oh, they're working from home. I don't need to adhere to this. What do you have to say about that, Joel?
I mean, I don't have to do my hair. I don't have to shave. I don't have to, but ultimately, when this is the closest that you can get with face-to-faces over Zoom, you only have this tiny square to represent your entire self. So you need to make that square look as great as possible.
100%. And, I learned this during the pandemic a number of years ago, that regardless of where I was, I needed to get up. I needed to do the same thing that I've done. I did it for 33 years before all that stuff came up, 34 years. I needed to prepare myself, mind, body, and otherwise the same way I did for all those years. Put the same business clothes on that I would be wearing for any particular situation. I mean, there was a situation when I actually put a coat and tie on, even though I was on Zoom, because it's the way to prepare. Because we respond to how we prepare ourselves from a grooming and preparation standpoint, right?
Right. Absolutely.
Yeah. So, and you've seen all the spoof videos out there about what people are really wearing below the camera, right? So don't let it happen to you and your team. Have this in place and explain to them and train them why this is important. So vitally important. Number 19. And that we don't have a lot that we can comment on this unless you have something else, Joel, but it's important all the time. Think safety first. But here's the reiteration. Every team member, every employee is responsible. They keep saying that a lot. Culture of ownership, right?
Right.
Each employee, each team member is responsible for creating a safe, secure, and accident-free environment for all of the guests and for each other. So it's not only the clients, it's each other, the team. And for everybody out there, as a reminder, who's your number one customer, Joel McKinley?
Your team.
Exactly.
So
be
Mike,
aware of all. Go ahead.
So Mike, 419, the thought process for this is a lot of people are accepting remote workers. So cyber safety for your clients' personal data, their information, your team's exposure, who's using this work computer, is somebody jumping on it in off hours and potentially leaking that information. There's a lot of exposure there potentially. And that's something you could train your customers on as well.
That's a great take. Thank you so much for bringing that up. Yeah. And to finish number 19, be aware of all fire and safety emergency procedures and report security risks immediately to exactly what you just said. And that's why we invest to the level that we invest in UPP. We did in the agency business as well to make sure that we were, ethically and morally sound from a cybersecurity standpoint. Because that breach, if you've ever studied cybersecurity and cyber insurance, that breach is very expensive. So, number 20, protecting the assets of a Ritz Carlton hotel is the responsibility, here we go again, of every team member, every employee. Conserve energy, properly maintain our hotels, and protect the environment. And what I wrote down on this is simply, and I preach this all of the time, keep the agency healthy. Because what happens if you don't keep the agency healthy, Joel McKinley?
Well, it doesn't provide.
What doesn't it provide?
Opportunity, finances, the health and the welfare of the families of the team, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Career opportunity, ability to become more, to grow within business, to serve communities. The list goes on, right?
Right.
But so we've got to protect the assets of the company. Oh, we said this at the beginning. What are the assets of the company? What's the greatest asset of the company?
The team.
The team, yes. But aside from the team, the ability to have people come back again and again and again. And in the insurance agency business, that asset is the book of business.
Right.
And you've got to protect the book of business in the insurance agency business. I'm sorry if I raised my voice and I got excited. I'm passionate about this. You've got to protect your book of business. Period. And I hope that you've been studying Excellence Wins, all three parts. We brought this to you with passion and desire that you will implement all or anything that you learned in your agency business, because it's important to us. Vitally important. Sorry, got overly excited there, Joel McKinley. As we move to wrap up this three-part series on Excellence Wins, any other thoughts?
Yes, one last one, and it just occurred to me, was their ability at the hotel to take customer feedback, and it was with the room service orders in the morning being late. One of my great lessons that I've shared before is leaders move to friction. So where's the friction in your agency? What is holding up progress in your processes? They sat on the elevator and figured out why they were taking so long to get those orders. And they really did that living autopsy to figure out what's holding us up. How can we get more efficient? If we need to invest to make this go better for our clients, let's do that. That was just, wow. The fact that they were willing to do whatever it took for the client experience.
Wasn't that a freaking phenomenal study part of the book?
Absolutely.
I was like, boom, they figured it out. And really, you know what I loved most about that whole story? I don't know if you feel the same way or not. The ultimate leader of the organization, Horst Schulze, owned responsibility for the shortcoming in that whole scenario.
Right. Yep, that was awesome.
It was simply because he had not been able to invest in a third set of linens for the entire hotel property in the beginning because they were just starting out and they didn't have the money. But it was failure to, on an ongoing basis, inspect what they expected. But because of the habits that they had put into their organization, they got to the point where they needed to identify it because they were getting feedback from customers.
Right.
The customer complaints, and it was actually in the hotel that Cindy and I stayed in, the one in Southern California. They were getting complaints that the room service for breakfast was consistently late and they had to figure it out.
Right.
But they did.
And the spiral of other things that were impacted by that as well. Clients were not getting their meals. They were end up throwing food away, et cetera. And it was this compound effect of things that all spiraled simply because they didn't have a third set of linens.
Yep. Wow. Great job. Thank you for joining me for this journey, Joel McKinley. And it all started with this. And I am the proud owner, I hold it in my hand if you're watching this on YouTube, of a real Ritz Carlton service values card from a real Ritz Carlton team member who gifted it to me because I was so enamored and shared my story with them. And Kelly Brennan, yes, I remember her name, and her teammate, Suranan. I still remember their names. I hope you got that. And she gifted this to me, and it started us on this journey of sharing excellence with all of you. That's all we want. And I'm going to wrap this up with some thoughts from the book, Excellence Wins by Horst Schulze. I'm on my second time through right now. I strongly, highly recommend a study of this book and just take the principles and convert it to your business. It is not that difficult. Just you need to take action. Okay. So when a staff member here's these things again and again and again, 12 or more times per year. They sink in deeply. Employees carry the little fold-up card in their pocket for reference, which is this card right here that I just referenced, if needed. Here's the key. It becomes second nature to follow these service standards without debate. This is just the way we do things around here, they think to themselves. It becomes second nature. I love that. And that's why daily habits, repetition. And the next step in this chapter is why keep repeating, and he goes on why it's so important. I mean, you help people build into their lives through your leadership in the Army as a Ranger and a drill sergeant, Joel McKinley.
Right.
To help people repeat the same important habits, right?
Right. Yep.
So thank you for joining me. I hope this has helped everybody. Get clients, keep clients. We've been talking a lot about the keeping clients, but as far as the getting clients, when you perform with excellence consistently all of the time, you're going to get more clients than you can ever possibly handle. Think about that for a minute. We've got high-performing UPP Platinum members with more than 1,000 reviews. They can't handle the leads. Their biggest challenge is finding more excellent team members. What a good problem to have. Joel McKinley, thank you.
Thank you, Mike.
You're welcome. Hey, if this is your first time on the podcast, welcome. My name is Mike Stromsoe. I'm widely recognized as a leading author, speaker, and coach for the independent insurance agency industry. You can find out more about us at unstoppableprofitproducer.com. If you're interested in learning more about one of our live events or one of our virtual events, visit our virtual event portal at uppfaststart.com. And of course, our live events are at beunstoppablebootcamp.com. All of our events are designed to share with you our greatest money-making strategies developed over 35 years as a 100% of the time proud independent insurance agent. And they're all designed to help you grow your business, create wealth, so you too can have more freedom to live life on your own terms. And we hope you install the excellence in your agency business as well. And if today's podcast has made a difference for you, or our podcast period makes a difference for you, please share the wealth with another agent out there. Just introduce them to unstoppableprofitpodcast.com. Have them go up to the top and click subscribe. They won't miss one episode, and they'll continue to receive great tips, ideas, strategies, and everything else that we launch on our podcast every single week. And of course, you can find us out there on all the podcast channels: Stitcher, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon, and of course on our YouTube channel, where you can watch us live. Just go to YouTube, search Unstoppable Profit Producer, and just click on videos, and you'll have all of our podcasts that you can watch and listen and stop and go and study and not think it, ink it, so you can sink it the whole 9 yards. So thank you for joining us today. And until our next episode, Joel McKinley, again, thank you.
And thank you, Mike. And thank you to all of our listeners.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you for all of you out there. And thank you for all you do for all of the agents out there, Joel McKinley. And until next time, get out there and make a difference. Be unstoppable. Leave no regrets. And remember this: you got this. We believe in you. We will see you on the next episode. Take care, everybody.
Can't get enough of the Unstoppable Profit podcast? Come join our next live 3-day boot camp in warm, beautiful San Diego. Invest in your ticket today at beunstoppablebootcamp.com. That's beunstoppablebootcamp.com.